Good morning, Midland, Texas. Buddy Webb. Today, what I'm working on is trying to draw up a list of just some of the major stories that I tell, and that because this has gone on so long, there's so many crimes that have happened. It gets I don't know if the word's convoluted, and it's just a huge story. I mean, and I tell it in bits and pieces because I don't want to make an 8 hour video, and so I try to break it up in pieces. But this video, basically, what I'm going to do is hit the major topics and just do a real one liner on what it was about. So what I did, I went to my Facebook, which is under Buddy Wayne Webb. You can see it there, and just scroll down and look. One thing I want to point out, which is just today's Facebook post, is yesterday I spoke with Shirley Gist, told me about people in the attic on Dartmouth Street. Well, that's a very nice house, and she's another crime victim. And that's an interesting story in herself. And she told me that or my roofer told me they did the roof on Monty and Shirley Gist home. It was an older couple. They were asked to go up in the attic, see if they could find if somebody had been getting up there. I drove by there yesterday, spoke with Mrs. Gist. She told me that these crimes started happening a couple years ago, but she didn't know who to go to for help. She also told me they put cameras up there which never caught anybody, and I told her that I had proof these criminals were hacking the security cameras. I gave her a list of the many other homes in the area where the homeowners called and reported somebody in the attic. She said, I feel 20 years younger because of what you just told me. And she was so excited to have confirmation that it really was happening. I felt sorry for her, as I suspected that she was made to feel like she was crazy when she was just another crime victim. In this video, I pointed out what appears there, that this crime ring targets older people so they can discredit them, which allows them to break into homes, steal services, and terrorize innocent people. In my case, they tried to kill me and most likely killed the guy that lived here before me, Mike Lawson. They are dangerous. And then I put a link to that new video, Invasion of the Homes Across America. And then my YouTube channel is under Buddy Webb, one word. You can see it here. And so you can see some of the recent videos here that starts at the top. Some of them real important. Girl murdered. Did anybody investigate? Proof of premeditation. And if you click videos here, then it'll lay them out. And I have 600 videos or something. It's a lot. So that's where I was talking about. There's so many different stories here. Okay. But if you are on my YouTube channel, and then the other thing is if you do a sort by here, most popular. Okay. And then I'll sort it by, like that one had 79,000, which was really it wasn't an important video. I think YouTube promoted a video that really wasn't that important. But here, this one had 29,000. And so these are usually the older videos because they'll have the ones that have tens of thousands of views. But it's also what people have liked and watched. And so you can go through that list too. So anyways, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I drew up this list and basically just one liner. Hobbs attic. Okay, I've done stories and videos on that. My daughter noticed a light on in my Hobbs attic back in 2002, and I suspected that Cindy was sneaking into my home while we were going through divorce. Okay, Cindy was the ex-wife, and what I've had is, he thought he's crazy. You thought people were in his Hobbs attic. Well, at the time, my daughter had noticed a light on it, and I thought it was the ex-wife. But what was interesting, that's the late ex-wife, is last year Cindy said, I wasn't in your freaking attic, and that got me thinking, especially with all these other homes at Rig, that maybe that home in Hobbs at 7611 Rolling Meadows was also rigged with hidden access, had people breaking in and I didn't know it, and I think that's real possible. The Rini Escobar Sanchez story. Okay, that's a still missing man from Odessa. Went missing 3 months before I transferred and moved here. Previous homeowner died, and I wondered if maybe he was buried in the west side of my lawn. Smelled death smell. Found cut clothes there. That's a longer story. I got videos on that. Todd Road home. That's the home I was supposed to buy, or I had a deal to buy, a handshake deal to buy when I moved over here, and it mysteriously got sold out from under me. The owner was James Harris at the time, sold it to Rini Molinar. After I'm shot, I drove out there by that home, and I saw a car parked there that I saw parked in my cul-de-sac many times, so I suspected that people out there knew something about the crimes here at this house and that home being sold to me. I've got videos on that. Mike Lawhon, the previous owner, is now believed to have been murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. His death certificate says he died in Fort Worth, but of course, Odessa American posted he died in Fort Worth. 4 days later, they posted a second death notice, said he died here. The neighbor said he died here. And so I believe Mike was murdered here and then taken to Fort Worth. That's what it looks like. Videos on that. Oil show party. Okay, my friend that I worked with down at Clay Desta, she's told or ordered that she's going to be working these oil during the week of the 2010 Permian Basin International Oil Show, big convention, tens of thousands of people coming down, famous for prostitution. She's ordered that she's going to be working, which meant prostitution. I believe this was going on. This party was going on in the underground facility, said by many people to be near my home, and that she's the one that told me about the young girl being murdered. I reported that. I made videos on that. Even recently, that one, did anybody investigate? Somebody needs to talk to her, because I believe that happened in the underground facility. And so that's the oil show party. Massage business voicemail. That's a video I got, and that was before I was ambushed and shot. Some woman named Norma Perez leaves a voicemail calling for some woman named Miss Gibson, asked about a massage job here. I wondered if it was an underground massage job. Okay. Haley Dunn, remains found. She's the famous 13-year-old Texas cheerleader, went missing in 2010, and remains are found in 2013. And actually, her remains were found 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice suggested that somebody come here, look in the tunnels in the underground facility, and she's found over in Scurry County. Now more than a half dozen people are documented as saying that she was overdosed and killed over in Odessa and buried over there. And it's even suspected Haley Dunn may have a connection to the underground facility and the oil show parties, and that's why her murder has been covered up. Murder of a child. Mom's death. Okay, I figured out my brother lied to me about the events surrounding my mom's death. Reported this to police a few weeks before the murder attempt on my life. Okay. As there's still unanswered questions about my mom's death. I don't believe anybody in my family hurt my mom, but I suspected somebody involved in breaking my home might have. Matt Hyman, he was a landman, attorney, young man, died of a surprise heart failure. At the same time, I put electricity in my bedroom doorknob during a home invasion 2 weeks before the murder attempt. It's even been wondered if his death, if he got killed trying to come into my home, and the murder attempt in my life was as a result because of revenge, because he died trying to break into my home with his friends. And these landmen had, some connection to the underground facility and the human trafficking and all that stuff. Trapped burglar. Evidence was found showing that a trapped burglar was in my guest bathroom a few hours before the murder attempt. I had tire-wired my door shut and unknowingly trapped a burglar. And so that would be making it a capital crime, because they were involved in a burglary. And instead of calling the police and saying, hey, I'm a criminal, I'm breaking this man's home, they decided to murder the homeowner. Developers Conference. I was told so many words by the ex-wife. A lot of people here when I shot, I was wondering what was going on, that bring a lot of people in town. I found that Midland had a developers conference, lots of people into town, a bunch of high rollers with our high rollers. They met the 2 days before I shot. The question's been asked if any of them stayed over and were here when I was shot. Okay, it gives us a short list. We can check hotel records and planes and see if they flew back or not. MLM, multi-level marketing. These are the network businesses like the NXIVM that's in the news with the sex cult and stuff. My friend, she was given $26,000 cash. This is the one that told me about the young girl being murdered at the oil show party. Okay, and they were using MLM companies for a front for organized prostitution, like the flameless candles that you always see, or another one, and then Montevive MLM, which is fruit juice. They sent couples on cruises the same weekend that I was shot. That's a longer story. I got videos and stories on that. The murder attempt, which there's a whole bunch on that. 2 weeks after reporting a tunnel to the DEA, somebody under my home shoots me. Triple proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. Well, that tells you automatically somebody come to my home and shot me. And that's a capital attempted murder. Secret police. Found pictures of police at my home after the murder attempt, but the falsified police report was withheld, so they didn't have names. So I had pictures of police on my security camera, but I couldn't get them named. I just recently showed an email that I sent to the Attorney General, to the District Attorney, to the Chief Mayor, Chief Police in 2016, offering a $2,000 reward. They knew that I had pictures of police. I couldn't get them named. That should never happen in America. Secret police are illegal. It reminds you of Nazi Germany. Doctors. Okay, this is supposed to be told. Told that the secret was a group of doctors were killing profit. That ex-wife told me that with 100% sincerity. She also said there was a medicine that could cause cancer and suggested they were using that, like 172 days. I believe these doctors were the same ones involved in faking my x-rays and probably in planning my murder, etc. Okay. Faked x-rays, triple proof that my x-rays were fake before I was crippled during the surgery with a partial amputation. I believe I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered. I believe that's easy to prove. That was after they faked x-rays. Okay. Dr. Gattiselli. I got a picture of a doctor in front of my house in 2014 that I believe is Dr. Gattiselli. He was being investigated for a type of money laundering by the feds, and then he's murdered in 2015. Question is asked if that doctor in that picture in front of my house was Gattiselli. Was he one of the doctors involved in the crimes? Dr. Hinton. Okay, he stated that he looked at my x-rays, which were dated 11 days before I was shot. And then he also charged the insurance company for the faked x-rays on 1/28/12. Somebody needs to ask him questions. Security camera hacking, okay, and I kept saying they're hacking my cameras, I finally proved it. I told Homeland Security the other day. I said I don't need to prove how they hack the cameras to know they hacking them, and that's what I show in a couple videos. Absolute 100% proof they're hacking the cameras. But I also have an idea of how, and Samsung sends me this a PDF file. I have a story about that, shows how to get into a secret configuration menu. Then I believe that was used in the hacking. The dividing wall behind my house and Home Depot in the secluded truck unloading lane, it's obviously been tunneled under. There's a row of missing bricks. I've made videos on that. Down a little bit further, there's where the telephone post hit with a backhoe. You can see that. I got videos, made a point of that before too. And that's actually yesterday. It looks like they're digging back there on the other side, on the Home Depot side of the wall. Right there where that is. Suddenlink, TV, phone, internet cable goes underground and nobody knows. I got videos on that. That's another telephone pole a little bit further east, and it doesn't go to Home Depot. It don't go to the homes in the area. And the question is, does it go to the underground facility? Missing tree. That's the live tree taken out, which sits next to the two side-by-side manholes on the Home Depot side of the wall. One of them suspected maybe been connected to a tunnel going over to the underground facility, to my house, whatever, used for sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, etc. It looks like that was covered up. Live tree was taken out. Who took it out? Why? All that stuff. All them questions need to be answered. Tunnel entrances. Suspected tunnel entrances in the neighbor's backyard and at the west manhole behind the Home Depot, which I just spoke about. And I got videos on that. That's been taken out as well. Okay, lies were made up. Crazy lies. April Chandler makes up lies and states I'm a paranoid schizophrenic when I was cleared by mental health at the hospital. I was actually a crime victim, 28-year company man that was, that had crimes being committed against me. Rosa Rodriguez tried to have me committed. And remember, I just told you that showed the story about Mrs. Gist and what they're doing to her and the other crime victims, or they're breaking in these private homes. Tripwire lie made up by Rosa Rodriguez about a tripwire on my gun that wasn't there. No tripwire in evidence. No pictures of tripwire. No other police saying anything about a tripwire. And triple proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun. And what you get is the people that are trying to cover up this premeditated capital attempted murder bring up this lie Rosa Rodriguez testified about in court, and that's perjury. That's aggravated perjury too. Kansas City Chiefs cap, okay, found under the cabinet I'm shot from. The sister of Mike Lahan, the previous homeowner that died a couple weeks before I died, said they had another brother named Brian Tennis. He was a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. I spoke with Brian. I got stories and posts about that. Eric Perez, okay, I sent this big email called True Miracle. A few days later, all of a sudden, they're wanting Eric Perez for capital attempted murder. I wondered if he was, if it was because of the crimes here at my house. I was researching that recently. I went and talked to News West 9, and then right after I talked to him, News West 9 starts deleting news stories for Eric Perez. And this has further made me suspect that Eric Perez had some connection to the crimes here. Another thing, the news said that he had stole a Camaro or whatever and shot at the police over in Martin County, and then about that same time, the neighbor's son's red Camaro gets driven in, wrecked on a trailer. Okay, so I wondered if that was the neighbor's car. Protective order was filed in 2013 by the ex-wife who is alleged to be involved in the shooting by her former boyfriend. I hadn't seen her, talked to her in a year and a half, and she lived over 100 miles away. Most people think that's ludicrous, and that's not what a protective order is supposed to be. I ended up getting a lifetime protective order that took away my right to own guns for life. That left me disabled, defenseless, and living under the threat of death. Okay, Naylor and Simpson, that's two of the secret police, Mike Naylor and Chad Simpson. Mike Naylor died in the line of duty in 2014, October 2014, and then Chad Simpson murders his wife, kills himself 2 months after Naylor died. These are two secret police, okay, that are dead, and a policeman's wife, all connection with the murder attempt on my life, this house, and obviously the murder of the last guy. Chief Robinson, the former Midland Chief of Police Robinson, he retired 2 weeks after I made the video called Email to the Chief. You ought to go check out that video. And the church down the road, the Fairmont Park Church of Christ, I was told by a law enforcement officer to look around that church as if there's some connection to that church and the crimes here. And several times I documented with video large group of police meeting at that church. And then the chase down the alley, that's where a guy's being seen chased down my alley after midnight and then put into the trunk of a car under gunpoint, came from the direction of that church. That's another video. It's caught on my security cameras. Digging noise. Dog alerted me to noise in the backyard where I recorded a digging noise coming up from the ground. That's only about 15 foot from them, the now missing tree and where the suspected tunnel entrance was in the backyard of the neighbor's house. My dad's death in 2017. I didn't talk to Dad in the last 3 years. He made statements, let me know he knew something about the crimes here. He died of some blood cancer that didn't run in the family. And remember, I was told that, that these doctors could cause cancer in people. And I wondered if my dad was one of the victims. Dr. Stalker, serious email from Stalker that said he learned to fake x-rays in the 70s and saw me and Hobbs at Wallace's Frost Up in the 80s. This told me that these crimes or these stalking, this gang that's behind these crimes has been stalking me for 30 years. Okay. And so I forward them emails to law enforcement, hoping they would trace this guy down. Obviously, he was connected, but that never happened. I got a video called Dr. Stalker, really entered a lot of stuff on there. Empire Private Investigation, that was the company that collected the $2,000 reward to identify the secret police with surprising results. They're the ones that told me Martin County Sheriff John Woodward was the first one to arrive at my home after I crawled out after I was shot. And then he was followed by the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor. That's incredible. That's a whole different county. Why was a sheriff from a different county at my house minutes after I survived a premeditated murder attempt? Nobody's answered that question. And even more incredible, that's the first time in the history of America the crime victim offered a reward to identify police. I can't get a news story in the nation. That's how big this is. Hobbs Act, move comments, documented many people asking, suggesting, ordering me to sell my home while I live under the threat of death. You can't imagine how many people I've documented, and I've made this example before, if a bank calls and says somebody robs us, can you imagine a law enforcement officer saying, well, have you thought about moving the bank? No, of course not. That's ludicrous. You don't move the bank because a criminal comes and robs you. You arrest the criminal. Same thing in my home. You break in my home, you arrest the criminals. This group is acting together to try to get my property because of the crimes here. People in the attic stories, people all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and many other states have reported people in the attic, and this is being hidden by the press. Okay. The FBI, I first called them in 2011. In 2012, I was told never to return to FBI after providing them evidence. In 2016, an agent named Powers, I secretly recorded him telling me he was going to shred evidence that I sent them by registered mail. So I had proof of it. And then the supervisor, I think Brandon Griffin, I was told he went to work for an oil company, which is interesting because one of the stories is about a little girl being murdered at an oil show party, and then that's what I think is interesting. I think even one of the FBI agents went to work for an oil company too, that Baez or whatever his name is, that I spoke to. Texas Rangers, Ranger Strain, assigned him a case after being advised by the Attorney General to contact the PIU, the Public Integrity Unit. He just stopped replying. Now, what happened is Paxton's office, the Attorney General, wants me to contact the Public Integrity Unit. Well, the Texas Rangers pulled a quick one and assigned Ranger Strain. Well, after 70 some odd emails and all this evidence I sent him, he just quits replying. And interesting, what a person on Facebook makes this I took a print screen, makes a comment and says, there is a strain of judging going on, and put strain in quotation marks, you know. And it was obvious that somehow that person who had access was reading my private emails about capital crimes to law enforcement. There was no doubt in my mind. Okay, Congressman Mike Conaway, spoke with him in a town hall meeting. That should be recorded. Met his staff because he invited me. Got a letter advising me to contact the U.S. Inspector General Horowitz, who ignored over 100 attempts to report corruption. His brother-in-law, Conaway's brother-in-law, used to live across the street. That was John Lejeune, the brother of Suzanne, lived at I think it's 3809 Fair Circle. And interesting, a previous owner of my home used to live in that same home. When I first moved here, a previous owner of my home, Brandy Merrill, lived in that home, what I call the Conaway home. Press contacted hundreds of local, state, and national news sources without a main story being written. And, you know, and you can tell this is, you know, just incredible. All over the place, proof of faked x-rays, all kinds of stories, and can't get a single news story. I mean, you know, they would make Adolf Hitler proud. I'm telling you, the censorship is just amazing, you know. And that's why the crime victims don't get any heads up, you know. The public don't get any heads up. The voting public doesn't get any heads up. Family, estranged from my family since the murder attempt. They claim to know nothing about the crimes, but if you refuse to support me, obviously they know something. I've wondered if they hadn't been threatened. And then the company reported 5 co-workers the year before the murder attempt, was placed on LTD, was long-term disability, even when I had a return to work permit. And the commercial director for my company used to live across the street, and his group took care of the booth at the oil show parties. That was Ken Slager. Anyway, there's some of the stories there that I post about, and so you can see how big this is, and so that's why it gets confusing for people. That there's a short one-liner there.